What you need in the building. We start at 12. First time we're being on time. So hopefully I can be more consistent with my streams. I'll also try to give upcoming streams before people know, but sometimes we get topics, we get certain things that come almost immediately. So in the moment, we can do a stream on it. All right. This stream's going to be short though. Shout out to everybody who is watching this stream either presently or in the future. What you need. You're watching my channel. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget you can donate, subscribe, share. You can even like. But YouTube does not supply me with money for streaming. No matter how many views I get, I don't really get paid for it. The way you guys can pay me is to support me through supporting this channel, and you can do so through PayPal. And the link is in the chat section, and also I think it's in the description as well. Today, as the stream shows, we're going to be discussing Andre Ward's statements that he made concerning Canelo Alvarez and some general statements he made concerning size and the reasons he defends for Terrence Crawford facing Canelo even now. So we'll go into all of that with you guys. I am what you need. Again, you're watching my channel. If you want to jump on here as a guest and just speak with me, chop it up with me. Yesterday, a coach, actually, a boxing coach. We had a nice little chat, a little discussion on boxing yesterday. There's certain things I may reiterate about yesterday in terms of capping and seeing a boxer as real. Now, the reason why, by the way, yesterday's stuff, and I didn't say praise be to the Most High, the Most High God comes first. You know, the Most High is who governs my life. I don't know about you guys, but I respect and I have a lot of, shall I say, desire to walk in the ways of the Most High. So that's just me. Now, yeah, well, like I said, I will reiterate some things I said yesterday concerning capping and the real, because I want you guys not to be led down pathways where you feel bitter or angry about what is happening because the person who's speaking can't back up what they say for whatever reason, right? It may be that they can't back up what they say because they're not in control of their careers, complete control of their careers. It can be because they're just trying to get attention. So for whatever reason, they're capping. And so it's very important to be able to observe that. And I'll reiterate some of the things from last stream, which was yesterday. Okay. Even applying to what Andre Ward is saying here to us. So let's go into what the contents of what Andre Ward say, because there's some things I agree with what Andre Ward is saying, and there's some things I disagree with. And as a fan, again, it's good to be able to discern things. Just because somebody's a professional in the sport of boxing and speaking with authority as a professional doesn't mean you can't critically assess what they're saying and be able to pick through, okay, that don't make no sense, and this makes sense. Okay. So it's very important, if you have any critical assessment skills or you are able to critically assess things in life, that you use them, right? If you've been trained to critically assess things, then use that which you have. Okay. So let's get into what Andre Ward said in a couple interviews. I was specifically speaking, or they asked him a question specifically about Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. And this yawn is not because I'm yawning because I'm sleepy. I'm not sleepy at all. This is a yawn because of acid reflux. It blocks my oxygen supply. So sometimes I yawn as a result of me taking up my energy levels. I need more oxygen. I can't get enough oxygen. So I yawn to get the oxygen because I'm still refluxing. I have what's called a silent reflux. To be very careful with that. Anyway, what I'm saying about Andre Ward. Andre Ward is a person who is somewhat biased towards Terrence Crawford, Shakur Stevenson, because he's mentored them, he's been with them, he's been in their camps, and he supported them highly. So, as much as I love Andre Ward, shout out to Sniper Nation, who's in the comments right now. Sniper Nation 357 says Andre Ward ducked two Canadian southpaws for undisputed at 168 and 175. If you care to elaborate a little bit more, Sniper Nation, on that, please feel free to do so. If you want to jump on here and speak about that as well, you are free to do so. Now, mind you, I'm not one of those people who will say, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. I ask you why first, and I ask you to reveal who these people are. I think I know one of them. I don't know about the other one that you're talking about. And I'm going to share with you my views on that. But getting back to what I was saying, so if you want to, you can elaborate a little bit more. All right. Yes. So anyway, the size of so I'm going to go through some of the points that Andre Ward spoke about. And remember, bear this in mind, it's in the framework of he is somewhat biased towards Terrence Crawford and he's somewhat biased towards Shakur Stevenson because he's personally being involved in both of them, including managing for a certain period of time Shakur Stevenson's career. So just understand that these people are part of his legacy. He's going to say good things about them, regardless of whether it's realistic or not. Okay. So Sniper Nation decides to go into some people that Andrew Ward supposedly ducked. So he mentions the two people, which is Lucian Bute and Adonis Stevenson. Said Andre Ward ducked Adonis Stevenson and Andre Ward ducked Lucian Bute. Okay, now these are claims by you. Now you have to back it up with evidence. So I asked you to mention the two southpaws. Now what I need you to do is get an article showing that he ducked Lucian Bute. And you have to also present to me an article showing me that he ducked Adonis Stevenson. All you have to say is Google this, Google that. All right? Because I want to have a discussion where I can take whoever is making these claims seriously. As I said before, you have to have critical assessment skills. So if we come on here, I'm not going to revile you. I'm not going to get mad at you. I'm not going to say you're crap. I'm not going to do that on here anymore. I used to once upon a time do that. I'm going to instead ask you why. And I'm going to ask you to supply information to support what you're saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say to you, this isn't true or this is false, because we're all here to learn something. So if you can supply the information to show that that's the case, sure, I'll go with you. I also, if you don't supply the information, I'll supply information to support what I believe. Okay. My evidence is that he was never undisputed at either weight class, while both guys he ducked had titles. That doesn't mean that somebody ducked somebody, though. You understand what I'm saying? Andre Ward at 168 was undisputed somewhat. He was stripped of I think a title, I believe it was. Stripped of one of the titles. I'm not sure why. And excuse me. Like I said before, reflux is a problem. That's why I'm yawning. Secondly, at if I'm not mistaken, at 175, he fought the guy that allegedly, I'm not saying this is true, Adonis Stevenson ducked, which is Sergey Kovalev. All right. So if we're going to go there, why is he facing the guy that's considered the most dangerous guy in the division? And you say he's ducking Adonis Stevenson. At what point in time did Adonis Stevenson offer, or at what point in time did Andre Ward offer to face Adonis Stevenson, and then the fight wasn't made? So one of them at least has to offer to face the other. You get what I'm saying? Lucian Bute at least has to offer to face Andre Ward, or Andre Ward has to offer to face Lucian Bute. So what you need to do, if you want to prove your case here, is you have to bring up evidence of either Andre Ward offering to face Lucian Bute and not following through with it, or Lucian Bute offering to face Andre Ward and not following up with it, or they had some contractual agreement and they never finished. Similarly with Adonis Stevenson, you got to show one or the other offering to face each other and then it didn't come through. Okay? So you have to lay out a case. Right now, you're just giving me incidental information that have nothing to do with whether these guys even offered to face each other. Because to duck somebody, you at least have to be confronted with that person's name. Like somebody has to say to you, why haven't you faced this guy? You know, and or the guy may be calling you out, and so now they're saying, why haven't you answered this guy? So you have to have at least one party willing to face the other. If no party is willing to face the other, you can't claim that anybody's ducking anybody, because they're not, neither has shown interest in facing each other, period. You know, Sniper Nation throws some snide comments at me. He says, "You're a loyal boxing fan," and he uses the laugh emoji to throw his insult, which is an insult, which makes no sense to me. Again, I'm a guy with critical thinking skills. I try to reason things out. So that's all I'm doing. And then you want to throw a snide comment in there, well, that's on you. Again, you're talking like a lawyer what you need. I don't find so. I'm just like a normal person reasoning out things. How calling you a lawyer is an insult? Oh, that's something you should figure out. You should be asking yourself that question, because you're saying I'm not a boxing fan. You're saying I'm a lawyer right now. You're insulting me. You're trying to say I'm not a boxing fan. So anyway, apparently you don't have a response for me. You still not willing to engage me in substance. You're going to engage me in insults because you can't answer me. And all I'm doing is explaining. This is what this channel is for. It's to inform people. Now, if you want to insult people, that's your thing. My channel is to inform people. So I'm explaining. Unless you don't want me to explain and you don't want me to use my brain and think and reason. If you don't want me to do that and you just want me to come up here and parrot what you want to hear, then fine. I'm, like I said before, I'm here to make a dialogue and have a discussion. If you want to shut down the dialogue and want to shut down the discussion, continue insulting. But if you want to actually have a dialogue, I'm willing to engage in a dialogue. I'm not interested in cheap insults. I'm not interested in somebody who has an ego and wants to establish their ego on here. This is a learning channel. You want to do that, it's fine. I ain't going to stop you, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to check you on it. I'm going to check you on it. I'll let you know honestly and sincerely, I'm not on that. I could throw back an insult at you, but what good is that? You know what I'm saying? So if you want to go back and forth on trivial things, fine. So anyway, let's go into what we were talking about with Andre Ward, what he said. And like I said, all you got to do is present your information, my friend. When you come saying, making claims about people, you come up making claims about people, just make sure you got something to back it up. That's all I'm saying. And don't just throw any old thing and think that people are going to accept what you back up because you throw out something out there. You got to understand, there are people in this world who actually think about what you're saying. They actually look at what you're saying, they weigh it, and they say, okay, well, if this is what you're claiming, then where's the evidence for that? And you may throw some other things and say it's evidence, but it's coincidence until you can show directly, hey, man, this is what this guy did. And this is what this guy did. So that's why you have to show, just saying. I don't want to take too long. So let me get into what I was talking about. But as far as I can see, all you've given me is coincidental information. Give me some more. Give me something that could convince me, hey, man, he really ducked these two people because offers were made. And he decided, no, I ain't taking no offer. I'm going with this guy. You got to show me that. And you got to show me that the guy he goes with is a lesser opponent than those guys that he actually faced. That's what ducking is in boxing, by definition. Andre Ward spoke about the size of a fighter was not a big issue back in the day. And I'm going to elaborate on this before you guys some of you guys will take me to task on this, when that's what he actually said. This was the crux of what he said. Andrew Ward said the mindset of a fighter is different to the mindset of a fan or a civilian. He called us civilians, in the sense that we would look at a guy who's maybe a heavyweight and say, "Oh, he's too big for this featherweight who's sparring, or super featherweight, for example." But a boxer don't think of it like that. A boxer thinks of, he just got more mass, so I have more to hit. The smaller super featherweight be looking at that. And we've heard about sparring where super featherweights have dropped heavyweights and all kinds of things we've heard about, right? Of course, that's sparring. That's not an actual fight. And throwback fighters back in the day, because you didn't have as many weight classes and it's a lot of things were quite primitive. A guy who might be 5'6" might be taking on a guy who is, 180 something pounds and 6'2". 5'6" guy who probably weighs like maybe 120 something pounds taking on a guy 180 something pounds. Today that person would be considered maybe a super middleweight or middleweight, and the little guy would be considered a featherweight or a super or a lightweight, right? Now back in the day, you gotta understand, times were more primitive and guys fought for their daily bread. And so, they always say it's not the size of the fighter, but it's the heart of the fighter, right? And so, you had those clashes with small guys taking on bigger guys and so on. Throwback, because the mindset of a fighter is different to, say, you or I as a fan mindset. But there's limits to things, right? The fact that boxing went from no weight classes, it was just open fighting, to it began to come into weight classes was because as the sport developed, people started to refine their skills. And so there was a difference, because if the bigger guy keep on beating up the little guy, it's because both of them kind of more or less have the same sort of level of fighting. But even though the little guy got plenty heart, a limits to which the little guy could beat the big guy, right? Think of it like this. Spud Webb was 5 foot whatever. And Spud Webb dunked, I think he was 5'6" or something. He dunked the basketball, blew everybody's mind when he dunked the basketball, right? But Dwight Howard and a guy called Dr. J were one of the first guys to dunk from the free throw line. Now, it's one thing for Spud Webb, who's 5'6", 5'5", whatever he was, short little guy. It was one thing for him to dunk from maybe 2 feet horizontally away from the ring. It's another thing for Spud Webb to leap from the free throw line and dunk the ball into the basket. In other words, there are physical limitations to which fighters can fight each other, right? They're just physical limitations that we must come to agreement on. Now, back in the day, boxers were smaller than they are today. Okay, a heavyweight division, the heavyweight started at 180 pounds and went up. Now the heavyweight division starts at 200 pounds. Actually, no, because we have Bridgerweight now, a weight class that nobody gives a damn about. And I think its limit is 210 or something like that, whatever it is. We got Cruiserweight, which is another fake heavyweight division. Guys are just a little too light to be heavyweight, but yet they come in the ring heavyweights over 200 pounds. But on weigh day, they come in at 190 pounds. I mean, it's a joke. All right. We shouldn't have a cruiserweight division, and we shouldn't have a bridgerweight division. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, yes, there's a big gap between light heavyweight and heavyweight, right? It's like 25 pounds. difference between light heavyweight and heavyweight, right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you look at it, there's a reason why we talk about heavyweights separate to the other divisions. It's because the heavyweight division is a division where you have much bigger guys who cannot move as fast as the littler guys. Now, the littler guys, they move at a certain speed, but the heavyweight division, they move a lot slower. They're bigger, they're stronger. Nobody's saying no, but they're also, because they're so heavy and so muscled, they're slower. They're slower. Anyways, Andre Ward was saying the size of a fighter wasn't a big issue back in the day. Okay, true, because back in the day, we had something called same day weigh-ins that kept fighters, generally speaking, somewhat honest, so that when they came into the ring, they were somewhere around what they weighed in on the same day. Okay, some of them weighed in just before they went into the ring, so that it kept them honest, so that you had, if you said 135 pounds, you're talking about a lightweight like Joe Gans, and he's going in against another lightweight, they round about 135 pounds by the time they go in the ring, right? It's not so anymore. We don't have same day weigh-ins. So a guy can weigh 135 pounds on the day that he weighs in. He rehydrates up. He can rehydrate as much as up to 155 pounds, which is 25 pounds more than he weighed in. So that on the night of the fight, he's not a lightweight at all. He is usually a super welterweight. Okay? Some come in 160 pounds, which means they're middleweights. My point being, you look at a lightweight fight today versus a lightweight fight, a couple, maybe 100 years ago, you're not seeing the same kind of fight. It's not the same. Okay? If a lightweight today was to face a lightweight back then, he'd beat the crap out of him because he'd be coming in as a middleweight or he'll be coming in old boxing terms as a middleweight fighting a lightweight. Okay? It's unfair. So today, in today's boxing, guys have learned how to lose weight, and make weight in a safer, more efficient way, so that when they rehydrate back up, they're fully strong. They're strong. They have all the strength of a fully rehydrated guy, like a 154 pounder. So they're bigger. They're much bigger than in times past. So, when Andre Ward says the size of a fight is not a big issue, it wasn't a big issue back in the day, he's right about that. But when you talk about today, it is an issue because fighters are coming in much bigger than supposedly the weight class they're supposed to be fighting in. David Benavidez comes into a super middleweight fight weighing like a cruiserweight or a heavyweight. He's coming in with that size. Artur Beterbiev, when he comes in the fight, a light heavyweight fight, is coming in close to heavyweight, if not a heavyweight, when he's fighting. Okay? The cruiserweights, when they come in to fight at cruiserweight, are coming in heavyweights. Proper heavyweights, 210 pounds, 215 pounds, some 220. Okay? So you have to understand that. So the size of the fighter in those cases, even though in the same weight class, do matter. On top of that, we have to look at another factor. And this is why we say they are weight classes for a reason. Now, I understand Andre Ward is speaking from a fighter's perspective. And he's saying fighters today now are complaining about the size of fighters, whereas back in the day, they didn't complain. So a fighter fights. A fighter will fight whoever, right? Doesn't matter their size, whatever. And that's not an excuse for a fighter. Manny Pacquiao said size didn't matter, right? So I understand where Andre Ward is coming from, and I don't disagree with him from where he's coming from. But there are limitations, ladies and gentlemen. There are limitations to how big a fighter can be, or how much weight classes a fighter can jump up to face another fighter. Even Terrence Crawford himself was requesting that Canelo face him at 160 pounds. 168 pounds is pushing it. It's just too much weight. And I will tell you this, Jermell Charlo is no punk. Jermell Charlo is no punk. How you saw Jermell Charlo fighting Canelo Alvarez, and Jermell Charlo used to be in the Bully, by the way. And Jermell Charlo was beastly strong for 154 pounds. I'm telling you right now, Jermell Charlo was doing what he was doing for self-preservation reasons. He felt Canelo's power. Shakur felt De Santos' power, and he was like, I ain't messing with this dude. Well, Jermell Charlo felt Canelo's power. He actually got dropped by Canelo when he was engaging him because he wanted a stronger guy in there. Now, Andre Ward said something else. He said Terrence Crawford would be the stronger guy in there if he was to face Canelo, or he's implying that. I'm not saying he actually directly said that. He's implying that. You never know. You go in there and Terrence Crawford's the stronger. I'm gonna tell Andre Ward this categorically. I don't care that Terrence Crawford can bench press 400 pounds. I really couldn't care less. I don't care that he does wrestling. I couldn't care less. Physically speaking, he's not as strong as Canelo Alvarez. He's just not. Okay? And the difference between Terrence Crawford facing Canelo Alvarez jumping up from 147 is going to be that Terrence Crawford will not have been acclimatized to 168 pounds. That will be a significant difference. And Canelo would beat him up worse than he beat up Jermell Charlo. I'm telling you that now. I don't care if he do wrestling. I don't care if he do jiu-jitsu. I don't care if he's strong and can bench press 400 pounds. It really don't make a difference. Because the punishment that you take at 168 with 10-ounce gloves is not the same punishment you take at 154, at 160, and at 147. And Andre Ward favors Crawford. I get it. He believes in Crawford, believes in what Crawford can do. I get all of that. But there's no way in hell Crawford is moving up from 147 to 168, taking on Canelo Alvarez and taking the punishment that Canelo does. I don't care if he blocks the punches. He's not going to be able to prep for that. And I'm going to tell you why. There are several different reasons. The first point is Canelo Alvarez really can fight at 175. He can fight 175 pounders tomorrow. In fact, if he was to fight Artur Beterbiev tomorrow, I favor Canelo to win. Again, the coach who was here yesterday would tell me that's sacrilege, but I know what I see. I understand Canelo has defense. We saw his defense against Dimitri Bivol. I'm going to say this. Canelo can do as much as he wants. He can fight cruiserweights. Nobody's knocking out Canelo. No one. David Benavidez will not knock out Canelo. Nobody knocks out Canelo. He's got defense, ladies and gentlemen. He might lose fights, but he's not going to get knocked out. Okay, Canelo has too much defense. Okay? I'll tell you why he beats Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev also sometimes stays on the balls of his feet and he's pretty quick with his feet, but he's not quicker than Canelo. Canelo's faster than him. He's quicker than him. I've seen Canelo against Triple G. I've seen Canelo against Bivol. And Bivol's faster, quicker, sharper than Artur Beterbiev. He's not as strong. He's not the greater puncher, but he's quicker, he's sharper. If anybody was to put down Canelo or knock him down, at least knock him down, it would be Dimitri Bivol. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it loud and clear. Fighters with defense can do almost anything. I'm not saying Canelo can go up to heavyweight and he won't get smashed. Okay, there's there's a limit to which a fighter can go. All right. And what you have to understand, you're coming up from a low weight class, you're going to be quicker. So Crawford would be quicker than Canelo in there. And Canelo will have to hunt him down and find him. But once he finds him, it's going to be a problem. Because you're talking about a 168 pounder who's fought at 175. Okay? And a 168 pounder that has settled in to 168 pounds. He wasn't originally a 168 pounder, but he's had so many fights at 168 and 175 that now he is seasoned and has settled into that. Jermall Charlo hasn't settled into 168. Demetrius Andrade hasn't settled into 168. That's why David Benavidez was punishing the crap out of Demetrius Andrade, because he hadn't acclimatized to the weight class. There are weight classes for a reason. It doesn't matter how much skilled you are. You got to be able to take the punishment in that weight class. It's not just about dishing out. It's also about receiving the punishment. And the only way you're going to do that is in actual fights. You can spar how much you want with 16-ounce gloves against bigger guys. Sparring is to sort of prepare you. Sparring is to toughen you up. But you have to have a couple fights at the weight class that are acclimatized with people with 10-ounce gloves. Got to be a real fight scenario. That's what really prepares you for the weight class. If y'all remember Mayweather versus Jose Luis Castillo, the only fight in which Mayweather jumped up from a lower weight class to a higher weight class and immediately took on the best fighter in the weight class. Okay, that's the only fight where he did that. Every other fight after that, he had enough common sense to acclimatize that top rank and him. They checked to see how he would do in the weight class, acclimatize himself, and then he would take on a fight. Andre Ward didn't just jump up to 175 and fight at 175. No, he had a fight with Paul Smith. He had another fight. He had 2 fights that acclimatized to the weight before he took on Sergey Kovalev. Even though Andre Ward in the amateurs fought at 175. And that's the same thing Terence Crawford would need to do. Whether he needs to move up in weight gradually, maybe fight a 160 pounder or 154 pounder, then jump up to 168, have 2 fights at 168, see how his body feels, see how he feels at 168, and then take on Canelo Alvarez. Now, if you tell me something like that, yeah, sure, I'm cool with that. But to jump up all the way from 147, and Andre Ward's trying to tell me he's going to beat Canelo at 168, when I saw a bigger, stronger guy in Jermall Charlo, who don't duck no smoke, ain't afraid of nobody, is a bully in there. I saw him jump up to 168, and Canelo beat the shit out of him, such that he was interested in self-preservation, and he was not interested, because you got to understand, it's one thing to lift weights, okay? It's another thing to be blasted with punches from guys who can punch, and they have fought at much higher weight classes, and they have received punishment from guys much bigger than them. What's Crawford going to hit Canelo with that Canelo ain't tasted before? Canelo's been in with the very best, from Floyd Mayweather to Miguel Cotto to Triple G, who's a puncher, to Sergey Kovalev. What are you going to bring to the table? What does Terence Crawford have to bring to the table that will disturb Canelo? Nothing. Nothing. Now, Canelo's going to respect him as a fighter. He's not just going to jump in there and take punches from him. He's a boxer. He's going to respect his power, and he's going to treat him accordingly. But come on, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot agree. There's no way. You can call me a fan. You can call me a civilian. You can call me a non-boxer. I know boxers are trained to take on anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. I understand that mindset. But the reality is, and I'm a realist, the reality of the situation is Terence Crawford will be going in there to get cooked. Because he's not going to do shit to Canelo. Not one thing. Way too small. Way too small. I can understand you starting a conversation. That eventually Terence Crawford reaches up to that weight class acclimatizes and faces Canelo and beats him. Just kind of like how the conversation started with Errol Spence. And you think Crawford just coming out of 140 pounds, taking on Errol Spence as Errol Spence was, he was going to beat him? No, absolutely not. Too small. You got to acclimatize to the weight. So Terence Crawford had several fights at welterweight, acclimatized to the weight. We realized he was ready. I did at that point in time. You heard me in that conversation saying, I don't know who's going to win this fight, because I at that point realized Terence Crawford had gotten strong enough and big enough and acclimatized enough to welterweight that I didn't think Errol Spence had a clear when it comes to size and strength. I didn't think he had a clear advantage. And now I was interested in seeing how the fight would play out. I never once after that was saying hands down Errol Spence beats Derek. I never said that. I said it was a 50-50 fight. Turned out to not be a 50-50 fight. Crawford literally was the stronger guy in there and beat up Errol Spence, but he acclimatized to the weight. Now, unless you're doing PEDs, as allegedly Manny Pacquiao did, you're going to just be jumping through weight divisions, 4, 5 weight divisions, jumping up weight divisions, mowing down people. Something wrong. That's not normal. That's not normal. So if you see a guy like Terence Crawford jumping up to beat Canelo, and mind you, I thought that Jermell Charlo would beat Canelo, jumping up from 154 to beat Canelo at 168. I thought so. I forgot that there's a difference in weight and strength and power as you're going up these divisions. Because I predicted Jermell Charlo would beat Canelo Alvarez. I was very wrong. The power is real. The strength is real. That weight class is for a reason. So after seeing Jermell and how he behaved with Canelo, and Jermell's a dog, but he's a smart dog. He understood it to survive, not get erased, not get knocked out. Because Canelo can box. A lot of people don't understand that. I showed you, Canelo's problem is not that he's flat-footed, or it's not that he's slow with his feet. No, it's none of it. It's inconsistency. Canelo's inconsistent with his foot cardio. And he has been working on that. And if you don't have anything to give him, and he realizes there's not no serious pressure, he can go 12 rounds with you and look better and better and better. He can beat you down even more. Okay, he's a smart fighter. He's not just going to go in there and take punishment. Okay, so when you have a fighter like that and you have a small little guy trying to jump up all those weight classes to face him in one go, it's highly unrealistic, especially in this day and age where Canelo's he's not coming in the ring on fight night 168 pounds. He's not coming in that. Coming in at least 20 to 30 pounds above that. And Terence Crawford might come in, 10 pounds above that, right? But that's pounds of muscle and water. And this is a guy that's seen action at 175. So in a way, it's very unfair. It's like Terence Crawford jumping up to 175 and taking on a 175-pounder. And you know how I knew that y'all was full of shit? Some of y'all who backing up this Crawford versus Canelo, when Floyd brought up Crawford versus David Benavidez, all of a sudden everybody's story changed. Oh, well, Canelo was a cash cow. He would just be coming up for Canelo. And get me, Bernie the boxer and Terence Crawford, and they all will say, bring it on, bring it on. They'll say that because they're supposed to say that. They fighters. But if they get what they want, if they really get what they want, if tomorrow Canelo said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to face Terence Crawford next. Bring him on. You know what y'all going to say? Y'all going to say Canelo beating up a smaller guy. Your tune will suddenly change. And Floyd knows this. See, Floyd's a smart guy. Floyd's saying the 168-pound division ain't no fucking joke. Sorry about my French. It's not a joke. It's not just something you just jump in there and play the fool with. So if you're going to bring up Canelo's name and you're so thirsty to face Canelo because you feel you can beat him, just remember Floyd didn't beat Canelo going up 3 weight classes, covering 21 pounds to get to Canelo, the weight limit. Canelo would be weighing somewhere north of 35 pounds more than Terence Crawford when that fight happens. Y'all's nuts. Y'all lost your damn mind thinking that Terence Crawford could beat a guy so much bigger than him. Y'all used to call Canelo a weight bully when he faced Miguel Cotto. Y'all called him a weight bully. Just because Floyd beat Canelo at 154, mind you, Floyd fought at 154 2 times before and had Canelo at a catch weight. Y'all feel Terence Crawford, because he comes from the cloth of Floyd, could jump up 3 weight classes. I can't even believe people believe this shit. He could jump up 3 weight classes. 3 weight classes and beat the guy. Are you serious? Now, the David Benavidez fight is a serious fight with Canelo and David Benavidez. I can understand a fight like that. What I cannot understand is Andre Ward trying to assert that Terence Crawford can jump up from 147. He hasn't had a fight at 154. He hasn't had a fight at 160. He's going to jump up from 154 to 168. This is disrespectful, y'all. Disrespectful. I don't care if he's a pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. And face Canelo at 168. And they feel somehow, some way, he's going to magically win that fight. I don't understand it. I just can't. It don't make no sense to me. And I'm a guy who I like Canelo and I like Terence Crawford. But some things are capped. They cap. Let's just keep it at that. It's capped. I don't care how much Canelo Crawford believe in his skills. I don't care how much he believe he can beat Canelo right now. He can have all the belief in the world. There's something called physics. And the physical limits fighters have. And that's a guy way too big for him. And I don't care what narrative Andre Ward says. Now, I want to say something else before I get there. Andre Ward says there are ways to neutralize power, reach, and strength. It's not 100. He's not wrong. Right? My argument for Artur Beterbiev losing to Dimitri Bivol. My argument for Pitbull Cruz beating Rolly Romero. Smaller guy beating a bigger guy. Goes along those lines. Okay? But here's where I do not agree. Where one guy, it's like talking about Naoya Inoue versus Gervonta Tank Davis. They both are one punch hitter quitters. They're both quick. They're both sharp. They both could hurt each other. But Naoya Inoue is a super bantamweight. And Gervonta Tank Davis has fought at super lightweight. Super bantamweight, featherweight, super featherweight, lightweight, super lightweight. Now, you know, some of y'all get caught up in the women's division where women go from high weights to low weights and they fighting all over the place, right? And y'all might have said, oh, well, if the woman could do it, the man could do it too. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. You're going to tell a guy who never fought at super lightweight, right? Who has come up from flyweight, right? You're going to tell a guy like that to go face a guy at lightweight who has been at super lightweight. So 135 pounder is going to take on a 118 pounder who blows himself up to 135. Make this make sense. Make this make sense. Now, they're fighters. So in their minds, they take on anybody. Right? They take on anybody. So we're not coming from their perspective because they're going to green light for everything. Everybody gets to smoke. Right? Inouye's that kind of guy. Right? Tank's that kind of guy. Instinctively. But you're talking about Inoue having to go up featherweight, super featherweight, lightweight. And the lightweight he's facing is a lightweight at super lightweight. That's 3 divisions. And there's a reason there are divisions in boxing today. There are reason there are divisions in boxing today. And now Inoue, as much as he wants to face Gervonta Tank Davis, he understands he has to work his way up to get to that weight. And so similarly with Terrence Crawford. I was listening to Floyd Schofield today. And Floyd Schofield was talking about all the different fighters he has sparred. And I even think of David Benavidez and even the coach yesterday who was streaming with me, who was talking about how David Benavidez was whooping Dimitri Bivol's tail in sparring, and how Floyd Schofield been whooping people's butts in sparring. I try to explain to people sparring is not real fight on fight night. The sparrer, the person who is sparring you, has been paid to spar you most of the time. And they just one of several people who might cycle in, spar a fighter, cycle out. It depends on what you're sparring for. It could be to emulate an opponent. It could be you're sparring to work on your defense. It could be sparring just straight out, doghouse rules where you just go into the death, whoever quits. There are different reasons for sparring. It don't mean nothing. Remember, this is professional boxing. If Bivol was getting good work with David Benavidez, it kept him sharp so he could beat his opponents. So if a guy's sparring you hard, doing what he do, and it's sharpening you up for an upcoming fight, you're happy for the sparring. What people don't understand is sparring ain't supposed to be easy. Sparring ain't supposed to be a walk in the park. It's supposed to sharpen you up. And as you approach the fight date, you're supposed to get sharper and improve on whatever it is you're working on. And the opponent doesn't have to be somebody to emulate something. And you may be taking on multiple opponents. You may be going 4 rounds with this guy, 4 rounds with that guy. You want the freshest guy you could possibly get. And it builds confidence for the guy sparring you that it could stay in there with you, even though you might be dog tired. Okay. And it also strengthens you up on whatever it is you're doing. You hear Devin Haney boasting. Let's be real. Devin Haney and Bill Haney boasting about, how they put a beating on Floyd or whatever. Listen, man, Floyd being a guy that's been sparring for a long time. A lot of fighters can brag that they beat up Floyd or whatever. No, it's about sharpening up the old man, making sure he can hang with the young guns. It's about sharpening him up. So if Bill Haney and Devin Haney, their highlight is sparring Floyd, and that's where they're getting their confidence from, good for them, but it ain't no bragging point. It's not, you ain't bragging about diddly squat by supposedly coming out on top and sparring. Nobody give a damn about that. Nobody's paying money to see that. You ain't getting the big bucks for that. You getting a little $2,000, $3,000. They bring you into the camp so they can work on things. Okay, some people spar and they don't even get paid for sparring. So at the end of the day, this is a professional sport. When it comes down to the money, when it comes under the lights and it's for money, now it's a totally different game. So we've heard of people like the guy that beat Costa Zoo. I forgot what his name is. Something Phillips, Vince Phillips, I think was his name. Right? Get beat up in sparring. Sergey Kovalev get beat up in sparring. When it comes to fight night, it might be a guy that sparred you and triumphed over you in sparring, but if I got to face you on fight night, it's a totally different story. It's a totally different story. You know? So when I hear, Floyd Schofield talking about, they did well against these guys in sparring, bro, don't be deceived. That's sparring. That's sparring. Once the money's on the line, once the trophy's on the line, once you inside that real square circle on fight night in a real fight, it's totally different. So I agree with Andre Ward. There are ways to neutralize power, reach, and strength in boxing, but there's weight classes for a reason. And as much as Andre Ward is trying to convince us that his to-do about Crawford versus Canelo, that to-do fight, because that I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'm not gonna give Canelo no credit for beating Crawford. He's way too big, he's way too strong for Crawford, period. I'm not gonna give him no credit for beating Crawford. If that fight happened, that's bullyism. Because it's not gonna come down to skills anymore. It's gonna come down, there'll be skills, but I mean, it's kind of neutralized by the size. That's the same thing. I'm surprised. All of y'all going up in arms. Oh, Floyd trying to get Crawford beat by facing David Benavidez. Canelo's a better fighter than David Benavidez. So what you if you don't think that Crawford could beat David Benavidez, why do you think that Crawford could beat Canelo? David Benavidez's first fight at 175 is going to happen. It's going to happen this coming time. David Benavidez hasn't fought at 175. Canelo has fought at 175. I want y'all to think. Y'all don't think. Y'all thinking, oh, he could outbox Canelo. Bruh, size does matter. We didn't even see Demetrius Andrade outbox David Benavidez. We all know Demetrius Andrade can box. But size does matter. Punch resistance does matter. You might be able to dish it out, but can you take it? And Jermell Charlo is a very strong 154-pounder. He's very, very strong. He's very, very strong. You saw Devin Haney lifting up what looks like 300, 400 pounds. Easy. So all that Crawford talking about, all that talk Crawford talking, don't mean nothing. That's him talking to himself and motivating himself for that challenge. He don't stand a chance in that ring at 168 against Canelo. Maybe at 160 because he will weaken Canelo, but not 168. No way in hell. If y'all don't think he would survive David Benavidez, how you think he's going to survive Canelo? And here's the thing. As we speak right now, as I said before, I think Canelo beats David Benavidez. As we talk right now. So if Canelo can beat David Benavidez, you telling me he can't beat Crawford? Really? Are you serious? Are you serious? So, when have you ever seen Canelo get stopped or dropped? David Benavidez has been dropped by Ronald Goverill. Canelo's never been dropped. Look at Canelo. Does he have a neck? Canelo don't even have a neck. Pitbull Cruz ain't got no neck. Guess why? They've been working that neck for years. Plus, Canelo's defensively responsible. He's going to roll, ride, shots. And he's sturdy. Look at how he's built. Like a tank. Are y'all serious? Jermell Charlo came out and said, man, that man is strong as fuck. That's what Jermell said. Y'all feel that Terrence Crawford is the only one that can do wrestling? Y'all think that Terrence Crawford is the only one that's strong out here? Y'all serious? Y'all think he's the only guy that can bench press 400 pounds? Y'all don't even know what these fighters do to prepare for fights. Y'all don't even know. Sniper Nations. Sniper Nation said Bud destroys Canelo like Roy Jones destroyed John Ruiz. Okay. Skill pays the bills. Don't doubt Bud. All right, let me say something about Roy Jones and John Ruiz. I'm gonna ask you a question. Who is John Ruiz beating? Who John Ruiz being in the ring with before he faced Roy Jones Jr.? Besides Evander Holyfield, who was old. All right. John Ruiz is not going into the Boxing Hall of Fame. John Ruiz wasn't pound for pound one of the top fighters in the world. John Ruiz wasn't even the best heavyweight in the world. There's levels to the sport of boxing, y'all. Okay? So for you to talk about Roy Jones Jr., who was an excellent light heavyweight, pound for pound, the number one fighter in the world at the time, jumping up to face John Ruiz, who was nothing. He was a heavyweight who got a title from an old Evander Holyfield. This doesn't even compare. Canelo is the undisputed 168 champion. Canelo is one of the best 168 pounders in the division. Of course, the other person is David Benavidez. And when he faces David Benavidez, if he beats David Benavidez, he would clean up shop at 168. The only other guy he has to face is David Benavidez. And he's undeniably the best 168 pounder in the 168 pound division. So when you talk about Roy Jones Jr. facing John Ruiz wasn't the best fighter at heavyweight at the time. The best fighter at heavyweight at the time was Lennox Lewis. Now, if Roy Jones Jr. had jumped up and faced Lennox Lewis and destroyed Lennox Lewis, we talking about something now. That's like Terrence Crawford jumping up and facing the guy that Canelo's facing right now, Jaime Munguia, and beating Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia is in no way, shape, or form one of the best super middleweights in the super middleweight division. He's not. He's like John Ruiz. John Ruiz ain't really got no exceptional defense or anything. You know, John Ruiz was all right. I mean, little guys like James Toney beat the crap out of John Ruiz. You know, Hasim Rahman beat the crap out of John Ruiz. You know, everybody was beating the crap out of John Ruiz, right? Everybody's not beating the crap out of Canelo. Canelo actually has defense. Canelo's built like Tyson. John Ruiz wasn't built like Tyson. John Ruiz ain't got nothing. I mean, John Ruiz was a hugger. He used to clinch a lot. So, you know, this is just not the same. It's not the same in any way, shape, or form. You know, Canelo can handle his stories in that ring. And he proved me wrong, because I thought Jermell Charlo would outbox him. He proved me absolutely incontrovertibly wrong. Not only did Charlo not be able to outbox him, he couldn't even hurt him. He was throwing shots at Canelo, and Canelo was eating them shots like it was nothing. Okay? So to tell me Roy Jones Jr. versus, you know, John Ruiz, it's disgraceful. You're minimizing the skill set of Canelo Alvarez by comparing him to John Ruiz. Are you saying that Canelo is an unskilled fighter? Is this what you're trying to say? I mean, why is the guy on pound for pound list if he's an unskilled fighter? I mean, Canelo can box. I mean, we all know that's what he came up as, a boxer. Canelo's a boxer puncher. That's what Canelo is. Yeah, you're disregarding his skills and his abilities and what he can bring to the table. It's like, what are you saying? You're disregarding his defense. I mean, come on now. We can't be doing that. You know? So when you say skills pay the bills, well, are you saying that Canelo got no skills? That's what you're trying to say? Because it don't make no sense to me. You know, Bud's got skills. Nobody's saying no. I'm just saying the chasm in size is going to be felt on fight night. If Bud was to come up from 147 right now and face Canelo right now, he's not going to make it. It's just too much weight, too much size, too much strength. He'll be beat down. And he can do one or two things. He could be like Jermell Charlo and decide to survive, or he can fight back and get knocked out. And Canelo's like so accurate in his shot selection. You know, he'll feint you one way, come with another shot. You know, y'all underestimate Canelo, man. Y'all underestimate Canelo. Y'all underestimating this guy. You seriously underestimating. You don't understand what this guy brings to the table. If y'all understood what Canelo brings to the table, y'all won't be saying that kind of stuff, man. There's a blueprint to beat Canelo. There's no blueprint to beat Bud. Bruh. Okay. There's no blueprint to beat Bud. So put him up to face Tyson Fury at heavyweight. There's no blueprint to beat Bud. Put him in there with Alexander Usyk. Man, put him in there with Artur Beterbiev. There's no blueprint to beat Bud. It gets ridiculous at a certain point. At a certain point, weight does matter. So when you tell me there's no blueprint to beat Bud, yeah, at his weight class, at 147, maybe at 154, maybe even at 160, because there's nobody really up there at 160 except for Janibek, right? And you got Charlo, but Charlo's not at 160 anymore. He's going up to 168, right? Gradually, right? So he might be able to beat all those guys because those guys are B level, C level. Some are approaching A level fighters. Like a Jermell Charlo versus a Terence Crawford fight is a good fight. Tim Tszyu versus Terence Crawford, that's a good fight. It's a good fight. The guy that he don't really want to face, Jerome Ennis versus Terence Crawford, is a good fight. In fact, I think it's the best fight for Terence Crawford at this point in time. I think even though Jerome Boots Ennis is inexperienced, I think he has all the tools necessary to give Terence Crawford a tough fight. And all of them that we just mentioned, Tim Tszyu, in terms of, maybe Janibek with the southpaw stance and the straight left. I think those guys are good, but they're limited fighters. Okay, they don't have the wrinkles. They don't have the veteran moves. Canelo's veteran savvy. He got a lot of wrinkles. He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. A lot of what you see doesn't really meet the eye. He does things. He's got special effects. He's got defense. He's got all kinds of stuff. So it's not just you're going in there against Canelo Alvarez. No, my friend. It don't work like that. Okay? He ain't no John Ruiz. So stop disgracing the man like that. Don't do the man like that. Right? There's a reason he beat Triple G. There's a reason why he beat Danny Jacobs. There's a reason why he beat Erislandy Lara. There's a reason why he beat Miguel Cotto. There's a reason why he beat Austin Trout. There's a reason why he beat Sergey Kovalev. Okay? There's a reason why this guy won against those guys. There's a reason why he wasn't stopped by Demetrius Andrade. By Dimitri Bivol. All right. You can't just look at the guy and say, oh, this guy, he's like John Ruiz. Don't do that, man. That's disrespectful, man. That's disrespectful. Right? The man has a resume. Whether you agree with his wins or not, he has a resume. And even Terence Crawford's trainer, McIntyre, right? Even he knows that Canelo's a hell of a fighter, and he said so. Say, what's the man's resume? Right? There was one thing about Canelo, he can fight his ass off. And don't get it twisted. Dimitri Bivol was able to beat Canelo because he did have the size to beat Canelo. Even if Dimitri Bivol is at 168, Dimitri Bivol has the size to beat Canelo. All right, he ain't no little guy coming up from 147. Okay, I'm gonna give you two more examples: Kell Brook versus Triple G, Amir Khan versus Canelo Alvarez. Those guys came up two weight classes. Kell Brook was beating the crap out of Triple G. Beating the crap, man. What happened? Triple G hit him a punch, broke his eye orbital. Amir Khan, outboxing Canelo, according to y'all. He's outboxing Canelo. He got slept. And that was just two weight classes. Give you another example. Mikey Garcia jumps up two weight classes to face Errol Spence. Was it a two-way battle? Hell no. It was a one-way battle. Jermell Charlo jumps up two weight classes. Two, not three. Two. To face Canelo. One-way traffic. Oh, Terence Crawford. He's different. He's a different kind of fighter. All right, he'll defy the laws of physics. He'll defy the laws of nature. He'll jump up three weight classes. Forget 2, 3. And face Canelo next. Don't doubt Bud. No tune-up fight. Straight into Canelo. He's gonna outbox him. You're gonna have to make me a believer out of me. Terence Crawford got to do that next. If he ain't do it next, shut the hell up and let him work his way up into that. He can work his way up into that. I ain't got no problem with him working his way up into it. But don't tell me, don't doubt Terence Crawford. What the hell does that mean? I got to see that. You got to prove that to me. Edgardo Ayora says, Canelo destroys Bud at 160. Duh, brother. And I'm not Mexican. But right now, if Crawford goes up to fight Canelo right now, he's going to get punished. Worse than Charlo. Punished. And what does Canelo get out of that? Nothing. You're a bully. You beat up a smaller guy. Blah, 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 blah. That doesn't take from Crawford his abilities. He's still supposed to be pound for pound number one. He took on the risk and blah, blah, blah. He's a smaller guy. What do you expect? He going to have tenacity. Don't get me wrong. He going to throw his shots at Canelo. Bud ducking Ennis big time. I wouldn't say he's ducking Ennis, but I'm going to say this. If you're not fighting at 147 anymore, Terence Bud Crawford, please vacate the belts and go up to 154. But the best fight in boxing right now, around that weight class, is Bud versus Ennis. But if you don't want to do the fight, not a problem. Go up. I'm not going to say you ducking. I'm not going to say he's ducking. You go up and you face Tim Tszyu. Because Tim Tszyu and Jerome Ennis, they about this in terms of levels of competition they face. They're about the same, right? They're about the same. I know. Tszyu fought Harrison. He fought Harrison, but I think that Ennis is basically at the same status. They both champions. Tszyu might have a little bit more experience in terms of top guys, but in terms of skill, I think Ennis is much more skilled than Tszyu. And but yeah, I think Crawford should face. I think Crawford should face Ennis. That's who I think he should face, and that's what Floyd was saying. That's what Floyd was saying. Floyd said, you think that we're sending Crawford to get knocked out if he faces David Benavidez, which I don't think Crawford's going to get knocked out, to be honest with you, but he's going to take some beating. Whereas y'all saying he should face Canelo. So how could he face Canelo when in the same division, there's another fighter there in David Benavidez? You're going up to 168. If you say you're going up to 168, but you're only going up for one fighter, right? Think about this. You're going up to 168, but you're going only for Canelo. Okay, you're going for Canelo. Now, are you going for the payday? Come on now, Crawford. You know you're going for the payday. But you go up there for the payday. You say you want to face Canelo, But when it comes to David Benavidez, all of a sudden, oh no, you sending up Crawford to fail. But it's very possible Canelo could beat David Benavidez. Now, a lot of people don't believe that Canelo could beat David Benavidez. I have my specific reasons why I think right at this point in time he can beat David Benavidez. I think me and Troy Killertainment, we see what could be done to beat David Benavidez. But having said that, because Canelo, in my opinion, David Benavidez, he punches hard and all of that, but I think Canelo actually punches harder than David Benavidez. That's my honest opinion. But that's a whole other story for another day. And I think David Benavidez' style actually plays into Canelo and makes for a very exciting fight. But I think at the end of the day, Canelo's going to come out triumphant. And I think he might even drop David Benavidez. That's as much as I think. And, you know, somewhere in the 11th, 12th round, somebody going to get dropped. And I think it's David Benavidez. It's not Canelo. But having said that, okay, this may be an unpopular opinion that Canelo beats David Benavidez as we speak. But here's the thing. Regardless, right? Canelo's ducking David Benavidez right now. He should have faced David Benavidez 2 years ago. He shouldn't have faced Dimitri Bivol. He should have faced David Benavidez. That was the guy that was in line. He had fought all the world champions. He got all the belts. Now, there was one guy that was worthy to be world champion. He should have beaten his ass and let it, and nobody could have said nothing. All right? 2 years later, David Benavidez is much better than he was before. He beat a guy that Canelo ducked. And David Benavidez is going up to 175 now. And he's going to take on Gvozdyk, who is no walk in the park. Okay? And if he beats Gvozdyk, now it puts him in position for a 175-pound championship. And if Canelo wants to oblige him, a 168-pound championship against Canelo, right? Edgardo Ayojo says, I'm not Mexican either, but facts are facts. I agree, brother. But again, you know, it is what it is, right? Some people will, you know, say Bud can do the incredible and he's Superman and stuff, you know. So I understand we have people who are fans of Bud. The guy yesterday was a fan of Bud, you know, talking about the coach yesterday. He was talking about a fan of Bud, and he was talking. And let me just say this: this coach knows what he's saying. It's just I think people have their own, you know, they're persuaded certain ways, and we have our own opinions about things. All right, that doesn't mean that we don't have knowledge on boxing. It doesn't mean that we. So just because I disagree with Sniper Nation doesn't mean Sniper Nation don't know shit about boxing. Sniper Nation proven to me that he has knowledge about boxing, but we just decide to talk about it like this. And I just want to get to the truth of the matter. It's not. It's not about who I prefer, who I like, and I like a lot of fighters. Don't get it twisted. I like Shakur Stevenson in terms of boxing. I do not necessarily like the strategy that he has. He's capping about a lot of things because, and this is why I said I don't like his capping. Okay. There's this narrator that people are ducking Shakur Stevenson. But the problem with it is Shakur isn't pursuing the people who he claims he wants to get. And when he starts to pursue them, he suddenly changes the script and he goes into somebody else. Right? The very recent guy is Murataya. I thought of all the people, you know, Murataya is in Top Rank. Murataya is at lightweight. So why doesn't, of all people, Shakur Stevenson shouldn't be turning down nothing that has to do with Murataya. All of a sudden, Shakur ain't talking about Murataya anymore. And Robert Garcia wants that fight. Murataya wants that fight. That's the best fight for Shakur right now at lightweight. Yeah, we hear that Shakur is going to be facing either Artem Harutyunyan or he's going to be facing Zora Abdullaev, which Devin Haney already broke the scope on that. That's his next opponent. And how we know that? Devin Haney know that because he'd be talking to the top-ranked people. And this is what's lined up for Shakur. So Shakur be all over the place talking about all kinds of things, but really and truly the reality of the situation is he's either fighting Artem Harutyunyan or Zarav Abdullaev. So, bro, why are you chirping all over the place about stuff that's not going to happen to disappoint the fans? Then you're going to say that these people are ducking you when they was never on the cards. They was never on the cards. That's what I mean by cap. And I call him the Cap King. It's not about his boxing skills. He got incredible boxing skills. With Tank, it's the same thing. Tank be calling out Regis Prograis. You remember when Tank was calling out Regis Prograis? Then he called out Conor Benn. You're calling out people, but you know you're not going to face them. That's cap. That's sending people for a ride. That's sending the fans for a ride. And that's nonsense. That's what I'm trying to warn you guys against in boxing. Keith Thurman versus Tim Tszyu. Man, everybody was. I was favoring Keith Thurman to win. I was saying that this ninja Keith Thurman, he gonna beat this guy Tim Tszyu. One interview with Sean Porter. Tim Tszyu starts to break down how he gonna bust Keith Thurman's ass, and Keith Thurman suddenly gets an injury, and he pulls out the fight. And then we realize Keith Thurman is really that dude who's a clown. Remember when Keith Thurman, and I told y'all I can't take Keith Thurman seriously years ago. Years ago, I told y'all that. Years ago, I told y'all that. Because Keith Thurman pulled out of the fight with Terrence Crawford. Keith Thurman pulled out the fight with Yordenis Ugas. He been pulling out of fights left, right, and center. He don't want to fight no more. He talk about this boxing game. He don't want to fight no more. All he want to fight is these lower tier fighters who he think he could beat. He's not Errol Spence. Errol Spence means what he says what he means. If Errol Spence show up to see a fight, Errol Spence gonna fight. Shakur Stevenson, you can't trust anything that come out of his mouth because he don't make nothing manifest. His best opponent today is Edwin De Los Santos, who's facing Raul Venezuela in a rematch. That's his best opponent today. Shakur's best opponent today is Edwin De Los Santos. And he struggled with him. He struggled with him. Whether he wants to use the excuse of the arm injury or not, he struggled with him. Edwin Ayoro says his best competition right now is fighting Jerome Ennis. Yeah. Crawford's best Jerome Ennis knows this. Anybody who knows boxing, know Jerome Ennis at welterweight right now is the best fight for Terrence Crawford. It's not Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu's good. Don't get me wrong. But the guy who's the best fight right now is Jerome Ennis versus Terrence Crawford. In and around his weight class. But you notice all these fighters, Terrence Crawford, Teofimo Lopez, they not looking at the talent in their division. They trying to fight somebody above their division. Mikey Garcia had Lomachenko right there. He jumped up 2 weight classes to face Errol Spence, got his ass beat when he should have faced Lomachenko. And we see this. We see how guys cap. And that's why I said I go back to the topic of capping. It's a cap. You don't jump up 3 divisions to face Canelo Alvarez instead of facing Jerome Ennis. What are you saying about Jerome Ennis? Canelo's willing to face Jaime Munguia, who just came into the division and faced David Benavidez. Cap. And y'all need to see through the nonsense. Payday, 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 payday. They want payday. Yep. Terrence wants a payday before he leaves. That's what he wants. He don't care about winning or losing. He want a payday. Jamel got his payday and rode out into the sunset. I don't know when next we'll see Jamel Charlo, if he'll ever come back into boxing and box anybody. He gone. He got some dollars. They want the payday. All the boxers want to face Tank. Why they want to face him? Payday, payday. You want payday? Devin Haney's fighting Ryan Garcia for a payday. I can't necessarily fault them. You know what I mean? Edwin Ayoro says, who you got today? Raleigh versus Cruz. Hey, man, you could hop on here. The link is in the chat if you want to talk with me. You know what I mean? The link is in the chat. Let me put the link right up here. So you just go to the top of the chat. You can see the link if you want to chop it up for me with a second. But you're right, Arojo. uh, 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 um, you said who you got today? Raleigh versus Cruz. I think Cruz will KO fake champ Raleigh. Yeah. Cruz is probably going to take him out. Cruz is going to take him out. I don't think. I don't know how much Raleigh knows with his trainer. Salas is a great trainer, but sometimes it's a hit and miss with Salas. Because I think Raleigh's underestimating Isaac Cruz. He's talking about Isaac Cruz as if he only fight one way and he only do one thing. It's a Mexican style, but Isaac got tight defense, and I think Raleigh's gonna be surprised how quickly Isaac gonna cut down that distance on him and start working his body. Isaac not nobody to play with. Isaac from round one, Isaac's coming at you. You know he's coming, but it's not just he's coming. What are you going to do about it? Because everybody knew Floyd was going to land the right hand. Everybody know Floyd throws the right hand all the time in his fights. That's not the issue. We know the right hand is coming. The question is when, how, and why. Right? Deontay Wilder threw the right hand. Everybody knew Deontay Wilder was known for his right hand. But when is he going to throw the right hand? And why is he throwing the right hand? See, you can know what moves a fighter make. Signature moves like pull counters and check hooks and, lefts to the body. Guys known as a left hooker that throws a devastating left hook to the body or the head. Double left hooks, left hooks and uppercuts, right? You might know the repertoire of a fighter, but that's not what's going to get you out of trouble, right? You have to get the fighter's timing. You have to get the fighter's rhythm. And then you have to be able to anticipate what he's coming with when, right? And there's ways to do that, but I ain't going to talk about that right now, right? Because yesterday I was talking to the coach, and yes, there's anticipation, but anticipation, when you understand control in a boxing ring, you get the picture of why certain things happen. People talk about setting up a knockout, but there's something called setting up a fighter. And when you start to understand bait and counter, the bait is a trap. It's trap setting. Okay, it's called trap setting. You're baiting a fighter into throwing so you could counter him, and then counter off his counter, and so on and so on. So bait and counter is a staple of counter punchers, as well as counter attackers. They get you to do things they want you to do, and they control you. See, it's all about control in boxing, and there's several ways to do it, and it's not just punching that controls boxers. See, there's all these added things, these wrinkles that make boxing very interesting. And I don't want to go into those things right now. I just want to just keep it superficial like we have with this discussion. But if you guys want me to delve deeper into it, remember you can donate to this channel, and I'll start to break down all the little wrinkles in boxing for you guys that a lot of people don't know about. To support the channel, you can donate to it, and you ask your specific questions when you donate, and I'm going to go specifically into whatever topic you specifically want me to talk about in more detail. And I'll show you how, and that's what I was trying to explain to the coach yesterday, why I undoubtedly believe that Bivol will beat Beterbiev. It's because of his boxing knowledge. See, boxing's all about knowledge. As Mike Tyson would say, the smarter guy in there is going to win, meaning the guy that has more knowledge. Yes, you have to apply it. Yes, you have to strengthen yourself so you can execute the knowledge. But the point is, the guy who inherently can adjust and adapt, also the guy who inherently can lead a fight or control a fight, is the guy who inevitably will win. And I think that Dmitry Bivol is levels above Artur Beterbiev, and he's going to demonstrate and he's going to show the gap between himself and Artur Beterbiev. See, everybody's thinking about the power that Bivol has, that he ain't stopped nobody, and you need to have stopping power to deal with Artur Beterbiev. It's not stopping power that you need to have. You just need to have sufficient power to make him hesitate, to make him respect you, to make him reset, to make him, if he's launching an attack, to catch him mid-attack and make him reset. And see, this is things people don't understand, and they don't understand boxing to that extent. And it's, I'm going to talk about disrupting an opponent, disrupting an attack, and so many other things. I'm going to talk about punishing an opponent, disciplining an opponent into behaving how you want them to behave in the ring. And it has to do with your angles, your footwork, how you assemble yourself. You can disrupt a guy, and then you can come right after and punish him and make him discipline him. And there's so many mental things you can do. And it doesn't matter how tough that guy is. It's something called, I'm going to use the word conditioning, where you can condition a person's mind to obey certain commands. And it's the same sort of idea that happens in boxing. Floyd used to discipline boxers. Miguel Cotto was harder to discipline because Miguel Cotto was also himself a smart fighter. And he flipped the tables on Floyd, made Floyd attack him. And he was able to counter Floyd and hurt Floyd. But Floyd then realized what was going on. He flipped the script and he started flipping his attack. He would mix the attack with baiting. So he would bait Cotto in, catch Cotto, and then he would start to attack Cotto. And then he would move back into baiting him again, and so on, back and forth. So there's a lot of chess that goes on in boxing that a lot of people don't like. It passes over people's heads, and that's okay. So between Raleigh and Isaac Cruz, yeah, I agree with you. I think Cruz is going to stop Raleigh. If Raleigh can find a way to clinch him up, to sort of stop the action, to reset Cruz, it'll work in his favor. But if he can't do that, I think he's going to get stopped. Late. I don't think Raleigh's a fake champion, though. I thought he beat Barroso. I do agree that the referee stopped the fight a little too soon. However, I really would have liked to see it play out and see Barroso get stopped. Shagar got all the skills, but is a crybaby. I think he's just impatient for his time to come. And I think he's trying to make noise, but he doesn't seem to have any ethics. Like, he doesn't seem to care about morality or somehow injuring ties with people he might have to do business with down the line. I think Shakur's frustrated that he's still signed with Top Rank. I think he wants to get free of Top Rank right now and just do his own thing. So that's what you're seeing with Shakur Stevenson. But he's a hell of a fighter, and he's developing as a fighter. I don't think, unlike the coach that was there yesterday, I don't think it was wise for him to face Devin Haney. And I think Top Rank knew that as well, which is why Bob Arum and his manager, Jay Prince, they weren't really pushing. They were still trying to back up Shakur a bit, but they weren't really pushing for that fight because, again, you gain more and more experience with whoever you face. And you're talking about Devin Haney's had 2 fights with George Kambosos in Australia, and George Kambosos' home turf, where he could have been robbed if the fight was close. And then he had a fight with Vasily Lomachenko, who was up for the fight. He was up for the challenge, gave him good competition. And, at a certain point, Devin Haney went through some adversity. He heard him questioning his father. The father told him, just continue doing what you're doing. And he did. And he was able to overcome that adversity and beat Lomachenko. And then on top of that, now he jumped up in weight and he fought a very highly avoided Regis Prograis, which, whether Devin Haney and they think he was easy to beat, Richardson Hitchens and all these guys thought he was easy to beat, is irrelevant. The point is, the guy was a top guy in the 140-pound division like Josh Taylor, and did not feel that Devin Haney could drop him because Regis Prograis has a hell of a chin. For those of you who don't know, Regis Prograis have a chin. Okay, he has a chin. But anybody, if you blind them and you hit them with a shot right after, their equilibrium goes off. But the thing about it was, Regis was hurt multiple times by Devin Haney. And Regis Prograis said after the end of the fight, it was more his speed, just how quick the punches come after each other, that really kind of messed him up. So he stunned Regis Prograis a couple of times. But again, Regis Prograis is a very strong guy. So even though he got stunned, it was hard for Devin Haney to really knock him down. after the first knockdown, you know. But like I said before, you underestimate your opponent's power. That's when you're in jeopardy of getting knocked out. And that's something Canelo wouldn't do against a Terrence Crawford. He wouldn't do against a Jermell Charlo. He would respect him enough to not just try to dog walk him. You know, we saw what happened with Danny Jacobs when he fought Sergio Mora, and Sergio Mora put him down. You know, when you get so reckless that your chin's out there and you're not protecting yourself, you get dropped. Shakur fight Cameron Zepeda. Well, we want to see him face William, but we don't know what happened. William wanted to fight. William called out Shakur. Oscar looked like he wanted to fight. But William Zepeda's trainer didn't look like he wanted to fight. He wanted the winner of he wants the winner of Kambosos versus Lomachenko. You know, that's the winner he wants. I mean, you know, I do think William wants that fight. William brings a couple things to the table that make that fight intriguing. It's not just his volume. He does have a strategic jab. He does fight from the southpaw stance. He's huge, so he can take a punch. I just think it's a good fight for Shakur. He throws a lot of volume, by the way, William Zepeda. And he picks it up. Great body punching. So that would be something to see if he could get to the body of Shakur. You know, he looks like he's a machine. It looks like he would take one to give one. But at the same time, he also has some defense. He does smart fights, you know, textbook and smart. But it would be a good fight for Shakur to really, really shine out. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I haven't been looking into it. I could look into it now, but I don't feel like doing that. You know, William Zepeda did duck Shakur before this, though. Shakur wanted to face, you remember Yoshiro was somebody that Shakur faced because William Zepeda didn't want no fight with him at the time, Jojo Diaz and a bunch of other people. And it was because he didn't do nothing at lightweight, to be honest with you. But it still would have been something for those guys to take him on, because you could do nothing in lightweight and they could say, welcome to the division, and, you know, start putting a beat down on you if they think that they that much bigger and stronger in size. You know what I'm saying? Edgar Arroyo says, same with Tank. His best win was Jose Pedraza. How long ago? Crazy. Actually, no, I will disagree with you on that one. I think that Gervonta Tank Davis has fought some top guys. Ryan Garcia is a top guy. Not as top as he used to be, but he's a top guy. He's still a name out there. And then you have Pitbull Cruz. I mean, Pitbull Cruz is fighting for a world championship. You got Rolly Romero, who became a world champion. You have who else did he face that's worth talking about? Mario Barrios, he may become a world champion, a real world champion this time at welterweight if Terrence Crawford would just let go of the belts. You know, you have Leo Santa Cruz. Tank went down to 130 and fought Leo Santa. You can't take these things away. These are quality fighters we're talking about here. So it's not just Jose Pedraza. I mean, Jose Pedraza was more skilled, you know, orthodox southpaw, you know, two-time world champion, faced, you know, the likes of Lomachenko, you know, faced the likes of let me pull it up. Let me pull it up for you guys here. You know, don't get me wrong, Pedraza's a quality guy, you know, fought all the way up from super featherweight, you know, to super lightweight. You know what I mean? That's 1, 2, 3. That's 3 divisions. You know what I mean? And he still gives some of the younger fighters fits to this day. You know, he's an old fighter now. He's 34 years old, but yeah, he recently fought Keyshawn Davis. You know what I mean? Fought Arnold Barbosa. Arnold Barbosa is another guy that's a good fighter. Fought Richard Comey, former world champion, IBF. fought Jose Ramirez, who was the super lightweight WBC champion. He fought Jose Zepeda, the same Jose Zepeda who just lost recently to Smith. The same Jose Zepeda who Richardson Hitchens beat, but also the Jose Zepeda who fought Regis Prograis, Jose Jose Ramirez, the whole 9 yards. I mean, Zepeda's fought the who's who of boxing. You know what I'm saying? In the respective division of super lightweight. He fought also Vasily Lomachenko, Raimundo Beltran, former lightweight world champion, WBO lightweight world champion. He also fought Edna Cherry, who was a former featherweight world champion, as well as Marina Farinas and Andrei Klimov. Andrei Klimov was a former world champion. So, when you talk about Jose Pedraza, you really are talking about a quality guy. You know what I mean? But besides him, Gervonta Tank Davis also faced some other guys who didn't do as well. But they also were former world champions. Oh, by the way, Pedraza also beat Tevin Farmer when Tevin Farmer wasn't a world champion. He knocked him out, right? Cold. So let me see if I can find it here somewhere. Here we are. Right. So, Hector Garcia. You can't forget Hector Garcia. Hector Garcia, good fighter, come up from super featherweight. Hector Garcia, good champion. He actually was a super featherweight champion when he faced Tank. Boog Shakur got crazy skills, but won't fight real killers. Yeah, his first real killer was Edwin De Los Santos. That's his first killer, actually. There's nobody else really out there that he fought that was a real killer. I mean, Oscar Valdez, it could be considered a killer, but Oscar Valdez was too slow and just didn't have the boxing IQ to handle Shakur. Tank has fought some names, man. He fought some names. Let me start from the beginning. So you got Jose Pedraza. Then he beat Jesus Cuela, who was the featherweight world champion. Remember Jesus Cuela? Hold on a second. Jesus Cuela knocked out. Let me go back in time a little bit here. Jesus Cuela knocked out Vic Darchinyan to become the WBA featherweight champion, right? He also beat Juan Manuel Lopez, Rico Ramos. These are all former world champions. Claudio Marrero. He beat all them guys. Those are all former world champions. He also fought Abner Mares, and he lost by split decision. So when he took on Tank, Abner Mares, this was all at featherweight, though. These were the lower weight class. He jumped up to super featherweight, fought Gervonta Tank Davis, and Tank knocked him out. First time he had ever gotten knocked out, by the way. Actually, second time. He was knocked out by Oscar Escandian. Yeah. So, and then he just recently fought Javier Fortuna in 2019, and Javier Fortuna knocked him out. He was fighting at, I don't know what weight he was fighting at, but so I'm just saying, for those of you who don't know who Jesus Cuela is, he was a great featherweight champion, beat, knocked out Victor Chinin. And then he also faced Yuriorkis Gamboa, even though Gamboa was long in the tooth, but so did Devin Haney. Devin Haney also fought Gamboa, and somebody else fought Gamboa. I don't know who it is. He fought the legendary Leo Santa Cruz, who, has been in wars at featherweight and super bantamweight and bantamweight. Leo Santa Cruz fought up from bantamweight all the way up to super featherweight. Fought Mario Barrios, who's the current current interim WBC champion at welterweight right now. Isaac Cruz, who's fighting for the WBA super lightweight championship against Rolly Romero. That's going to be a hell of a fight. I think he's going to get the title too. Rolando Romero came on afterwards, and he's currently the WBA super lightweight champion. You got Hector Garcia, who was the WBA super featherweight champion, and he just fought Ryan Garcia, who's now facing Devin Haney for the WBC super lightweight championship. So no, I don't think that Tank, didn't fight, didn't fight solid fighters. I'm just saying he didn't fight the very best. He's yet to fight the very best in any division. He has never faced Vasily Lomachenko, both at super featherweight and at lightweight. He hasn't faced him. And Vasily Lomachenko being in those two divisions, Vasily Lomachenko actually called him out. He hasn't faced Devin Haney, who has called him out multiple times. Even when Devin Haney was undisputed, he was trying to get a fight with him. Tank hasn't. He hasn't fought Shakur Stevenson, even though he claimed, or at least his team claimed, that Shakur Stevenson was supposed to be the next, not Frank Martin. He hasn't fought. He never fought Miguel Belchout, who was the WBC champion. He was the lineal champion at super featherweight. Oscar Valdez ended up facing him after Tank had left. He never faced Tevin Farmer, who was the IBF world champion at super featherweight. Tank has not faced the people that the peoples wanted him to face, the top guys. At least Shakur faced the top guys in terms of Oscar Valdez, in terms of the IBF champion, who at the time was Jamal Herring. Okay, at least he fought two top guys. Since then he hasn't really fought anybody top. But the point is, Shakur at least at super featherweight fought two top guys, the top guy, and then the next in line. And yeah, they may have been a weak champions compared to the Devin Haney's, what Devin Haney has faced, or what Lomachenko has faced in his career, or even what Tia was faced. We can't speak for Ryan, but it's still world champions, and they were the top guys in the super featherweight division at the time. You know what I'm saying? Edwin RL says, brother, by now Tank should have had on his record, win or lose, names like Loma, Haney, Teal, Shakur. Come on. How long they waiting to fight Loma? Maybe he turned 44. I hear you. Like I said before, I just say it on the same sort of reasoning. And the reason Tank hasn't faced any of the top people, because he don't need to, as the coach was saying yesterday. He'd be making it this big, big, big money. And it's a profession for you to make as much money as possible and get out the game. And so competition is not as important as making money for Tank. Tank is money over competition. He doesn't see himself doing both, facing the very best and making money off of that. So that in a way, the boxers are kind of making fun of the sport, and we as fans have to hold them accountable. There has been the rumor all along that Tank has been facing, less than stellar opposition, and usually opposition we don't know nothing about, and we're not really interested in. So that's the knock on him. His legacy is not as good as Floyd's. If I was him, understanding I'm in a sport and I'm not just in a money-making venture, I would try to get my hat in there to face the very best. But Tank you could see he's trying to squeeze out as much money as he can get out of this business before he gets out of it. You could see that. Christopher Smith says, I don't think I ever disagreed with Ward's statements. What do you disagree with? So like I said before, I said it already early on. If you want to run back the stream, you can run it back. But where Ward is speaking about specifically that size, as a boxer, as a fighter, he's been very shocked that fighters are mentioning the fighter's size, like where they talk about Devin Haney's too big, but yet he's in the or you talk about Benavidez being too big. Now, he expect that from fans. He don't expect it from fighters. So I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that, but when he uses it as an argument for Terence Crawford to take on Canelo, jumping up 3 weight classes and just suddenly face Canelo just like that, no, size does matter. That's why we have weight classes. You know what I mean? So that's where I disagree with him when he's trying to make the argument for, Crawford right now facing Canelo right now and beating Canelo right now. Like, nah, homie. I don't agree with that. So I haven't disagreed necessarily with everything he has said. I disagree with when we're speaking in terms of Crawford and Canelo, that where Crawford won't be thinking about size, and he speaks about neutralizing the strengths of a fighter, and all of that may be cool and well and good, but that ain't happening if Crawford jump up 3 weight classes to face Canelo. That ain't gonna happen. And that's why, Floyd put Crawford in his place by saying, oh, well, you know what? Crawford want to face Canelo, and David Benavidez want to face Canelo. Why don't they just face each other? Floyd is making the point that, Ninja, if y'all think that Floyd would be sending Crawford to get beat by David Benavidez, then what the hell do you think is going to happen to him with Canelo? Like, Floyd's putting it in context to let you see it's a division. They're divisions for a reason. And then Floyd comes after that and says, but there's always Jerome Boots Ennis right there. Crawford could give Boots Ennis a shot. So Floyd was really making the point that Crawford should be facing Boots Ennis. That's his point. But y'all immediately thinking, oh shit, Crawford gonna get beat by Benavidez. Because Crawford, what Floyd is trying to show you is the weight class. Like, Floyd's trying to show you. Floyd's real smart. He's trying to show you their weight classes for a reason. And Crawford's full of shit to be saying how he gonna jump up 3 weight classes to face Canelo. He gonna get like a paycheck. He gonna have retirement money for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? In this case, payday, you want payday, really applies. You know what I'm saying? It really applies to that moment. And nothing Andre Ward, no boxer right now. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your credentials are. You're not convincing me that Crawford going to jump up 3 weight divisions right now, face Canelo, and beat Canelo. It's not happening. That's literally an impossibility. It's an impossibility. No, I don't care what case you make. Now, he has to acclimatize to the weight. He has to actually go in there and get 2 tune-ups or 2 acclimatization weight fights. I don't care if it's against Caleb Plant, whoever. He has to acclimatize to the weight. You can't just jump up from, what the fuck is wrong with these people? You can't jump up from 147 all the way up to 168. Come on now. Who you take me for, a fool? I don't care who you are. I don't care if you use Crawford. I don't care if you use the gods of boxing. You're not going to convince me that you could just jump up from 147 all the way up to 168 and beat the 168 champion there, the real champion there, who's fought at 175. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I ain't stupid. Some of y'all go with narrators, but I'm a person who critically thinks. Okay, I critically think. You telling me Jamel Charlo couldn't do it? Mikey Garcia couldn't do it? Shit. Many fighters couldn't do it. And it was real skilled, great fighters. Sugar Ray Robinson couldn't do it. But fucking Crawford could do it? Get the fuck out of here. And 3 weight classes? Not even 2? Oh, come on, man. I don't even know how I did that. Edgar Arroyo says Pedroza is still his best win. I don't know. He's had a lot of great wins. I think he had a great win against Pitbull. I think he had a great win against Santa Cruz. Remember, he had to go down to 130, and Tank couldn't make the 135 limit the fight before. And he had a good win against Mario Barrios. I think actually Mario Barrios is his best win to date. To date, Mario Barrios is his best win, in my opinion, because it's a much bigger guy, much longer guy, a guy well-schooled, a guy who was actually winning rounds against him. And he was able to close the distance, get to his body, soften him up, and get him out of there. Because Mario Barrios was on his way to winning that fight, whereas Pedraza wasn't really beating Tank. He went on his way to winning. Leo Santa Cruz was doing good, but I think the only guy who really was outboxing Tank was Mario Barrios. Hector Garcia was also a good win. Hector Garcia could box his ass off, and his jab was really good. It was just Tank was just too big and strong there. In the case of Mario Barrios, you can't really say, well, Mario Barrios was weight drained, but having said that, you know, Tank had to overcome a guy that was much bigger than him, period. It's much bigger than him. And he did well to stop him. Ward speaks like that because he probably expects that of himself. He saw himself moving up to heavyweight at the time. AJ had less experience, but no way does he stand a chance against this current AJ. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. So you understand. There's weight classes for a reason. Could you see Andre? And we love Andre Ward. We love Andre Ward. But do you see Andre Ward getting in there against Deontay Wilder and surviving? Do you see him going 12 rounds with Deontay Wilder? Be real. Be honest. Do you see Andre Ward going 12 rounds with Alexander Usyk? Come on now. He's just going to jump up to heavyweight and take on Alexander Usyk. No, Usyk stops him, right? Or he might survive to the end, but he's going to get an ass whooping, right? You see, all right, let's make some sense. We talk about Floyd, one of the greatest fighters of all time, blah, 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 blah. You see Floyd jumping up to 175, Artur Beterbiev's weight class and taking on Artur Beterbiev. Do you see? He didn't even take on Gennady Golovkin, for crying out loud. He gonna take on Artur Beterbiev? You see how ludicrous it sounds? It sounds stupid. It sounds stupid. And Floyd's fought at 154. Crawford hasn't fought at 154. Floyd has fought at 154 3 times. So for him to jump from 154 to 175, which would be 3 weight classes up from 154, it's suicide. Period. It's suicide. Those guys would decimate Floyd. They would destroy him. Okay? They would destroy him. Okay? Why? Why would they destroy him? Because they too big. They're just too big. Now, does that mean that Floyd doesn't spar heavyweights and 175-pounders in his gym? Probably, but not on that level. Not with those gloves. Not in that ring. Not in that event. Not for that money. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, it sounds cool to say Crawford would take on Canelo. It sounds cool as hell. It sounds great. It sounds Pacquiao-like. But it's not realistic. Not at this time. You give him a chance to get up to 160, 168, 154, 168, work his way up, and then acclimatize himself. Absolutely. Absolutely. But not just jump up there. Yeah, that's craziness, man. That's suicide. Crawford can realistically dominate 154, 160. 168 might be too much at this point in time. Absolutely. And with his age, absolutely. Jamel and Mikey aren't Crawford. That wrestling background helps. Man, he could wrestle how much you want to wrestle. There's a difference between somebody at 168 and somebody at 147. If y'all don't respect that, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay? Crawford hasn't fought at 154. Y'all forgetting this guy, he's only undisputed at 147. He's a 147 pounder. I wonder if you guys understand he's never faced in a professional ring anybody above 147 pounds, which means he's going to have to acclimatize to fighters 3 weight classes up, and sparring ain't going to cut it. You're going to have to build up strength, build up muscle. You're going to have to be taking punishment from 10-ounce gloves in a ring with guys who are 168 and upwards, who have a certain level of skill. Then you have to get into an actual 168-pound fight and see how that works out for you, how you feel at the weight class. It's not the same, ladies and gentlemen. It's just what you have to do. You have to do that. You can't just jump up. Are you crazy? You can't just jump up from 147, go all the way up to 160. You're looking to get slaughtered, man. You're looking to get murdered. You can't even, the punches you even blocking are going to mess you up. They're going to mess you up. You could be blocking punches. You can get messed up. Why? Because you have to be fighting. Them punches ain't nothing. Them punches worse than sledgehammers. It's like you're taking yourself and you're hurling yourself into a wall at 35 miles an hour. Okay? Like, people don't understand these things. This is not no, them fellas punch. Those guys, bigger guys will punch harder because they got more mass. Okay? And them fellas, their bodies are like rocks. They hard. You understand what I'm saying? Charlo ain't no punk. So when Charlo bitching out against Canelo, it's because he's self-preservation. He don't want to get knocked out. He don't want to get knocked out. Oh, watch what will happen to Munguia. Watch what will happen to Munguia. And Munguia has fights at 168 already. Watch what will happen there against Canelo. You think Charlo was going to open up and get slaughtered and get knocked out cold? He got dropped. He opened up a little bit and got dropped. He understood what he was doing. He was self-preservation. Smart guy. And Charlo's no punk. But he's smart. And Crawford, if he tries to go toe-to-toe Canelo, he's going to get stopped. He's going to get stopped. Period. That's a guy that's like 4 weight classes bigger than him. Because he's fought at 175. It's basically 4 weight classes bigger than him. That's suicide. Suicide. I'm a realist. But people forgetting that the weight is 168, but fighting night Canelo's around 800 pounds. No way Bud wins. 800? Canelo's around 190 pounds, bro. Now 180 pounds. He's about 190 now. Canelo coming in a cruiserweight. And Crawford will come in 183, 184, but not functional muscle. Meaning, it's not muscle that took punches from another 168-pound fighter. He has not felt the power of 168-pound punches. He's not felt the strength of 168-pound fighters. Yeah, you might be able to pick up a guy 200 and something pounds or 300 and something pounds. You might be able to wrestle a guy 200 and something pounds, 300 and something pounds. But they're not trained guys. They're not trained fighters. They're not elite trained fighters. Look at Canelo. Look at that guy. Look at Canelo. Crawford isn't even built like Canelo. Crawford's built strong and solid, but he's not built like Canelo. Canelo is a beast. Look at the man. The man ain't even got no neck. When you hear Canelo going, whoosh, whoosh, ninja. Ninja. You don't want to be hit with that. You don't want to be hit with that. Okay? So it's not as easy as people are making it sound. We as fans, we just sit down in our chairs, relax, and say, hey, your bud can handle it. Yeah, you want to set him up. That's what you want to do. You want to see him get knocked out. That's what y'all want to do. Y'all don't know how much work he had to go through, how much he gonna have to go through hell and back to just survive in a fight with Canelo. Just to survive. Floyd would get in at 150 and barely change in weight. And when he fought at 154, he probably weighed 160 for a fight at 175. Now Floyd been fighting 175 guys who weigh 175 pounds, like Conor McGregor on Fight Night. You know, he's fought Logan Paul, who is like 190, 200 pounds on Fight Night. But them guys ain't got no skill. You know what I mean? They don't got no skill. So he can rally with them. I mean, he get in the ring with a professional cruiserweight right now, they flatten him. Get in the ring with Artur Beterbiev or Bivol, they will flatten him. Get in the ring with Canelo right now, or David Benavidez, or even what's that kid name? David, what's his name? The Cuban fighter. What's the Cuban fighter's name? David Morrell. They will flatten his ass. Okay? Flatten him. Knock him the fuck out. Okay? Why? Because his defense will not be enough to withstand their strength and their power. There's weight classes for a reason. All right? Right now, Floyd will get knocked the fuck out. Period. All right? Because he's not training, nothing. He just want to get up and in his first fight take on one of them guys, he can get smashed. Right? And he knows that. He knows that. He's 40-something years old. Man, good God, they would mash him up. Right? And we wouldn't want to see that. I don't even want to see Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul because I think it's just unfair right now. The man's almost 60. Jake Paul's a young guy, you know. Damn, 190, poor Bud then. Yeah, Canelo's like almost walking around almost like a heavyweight. Canelo's big. He's big. He's short. He has a short stature, but he's compact. He's compact. He's like a tank. He's like Tank Davis. He's like Tank Davis at 168 pounds. He could be beat, but you got to have the certain skill set and a certain IQ to beat him. You know, it's not anybody can just beat Canelo. Not just anybody can beat Canelo. What Bivol did is not something anybody can just do. And that's what a lot of y'all don't understand. When I tell y'all Bivol's going to beat Beterbiev, y'all don't believe me. But y'all don't see how exceptional Bivol is. Have you seen Bivol in any struggle? Have you seen Bivol not dominate every single opponent he's faced in the ring? Why is he dominating them? If he ain't got no power, why is he dominating them? Why is there a huge chasm between him and them? And y'all saying Beterbiev's different. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. He gonna make Beterbiev look like a fool. He's gonna make him look like a fool in there. Like if he don't know nothing about boxing. Christopher Smith says you need 2 to 3 20-week training cycles to get used to any new weight. That's only 5 to 10 pounds more for a guy that weighs less than 180 pounds. That's what I'm saying. It'll take a while, and you have to go. I mean, you're gonna have to go through hell. You're gonna have to go through hell just to try to withstand the punishment that you might get at that weight class. Edgar Arroyo says, gotta go, bro. See you in the next live. Yes, sir. Peace to you, Edgar Arroyo. You know what I'm saying? Nice to talk to you, too. Dorticos. Dorticos is the Cuban at Cruiser. That's a good fight. For who, though? If someone could move up 3 weight classes to beat Canelo, it would be Crawford. Only the perfect game plan wins. Land, get out of there. Bruh. Canelo cuts off the ring. He cuts off the ring. Even Jermell Charlo, even though Jermell Charlo is moving around the ring a lot, changing direction, Canelo still caught up to him. He gonna catch up to you. We got 12 rounds. No sweat. We got 12 rounds. We got 12 rounds to cook your ass. He's going to catch up to him. You know what I mean? It'd be a big fight and make a lot of money because of the fact that Crawford's risking so much to go up so much to fight Canelo. It'd be a big fight. You give Crawford 3 or 4 fights, working his way up to 168 and fighting that weight 168 for 2 fights. I got Crawford. If he acclimatizes, I got Crawford beating Canelo. Sure. But to say that he can just jump up from 147 going in, that's not happening. That's what I'm saying. That's not realistic in any way, shape, or form. Historic, but it will end in tragedy. It'll end in tragedy. It will not end nicely. That's disrespecting Canelo, in my opinion. And I can't see, if Canelo beats him, I don't see anybody giving Canelo credit for that. You'd be like, you picked on a 147 pounder when you could have faced David Benavidez. They're going on him. Brook was a big welter, and he got pasted by Triple G, who was a bigger middleweight than Canelo was. It's a hard task. what I'm trying to say. That's not something that that's a kind of like a suicide mission. You got to prepare for a fight like that. You have to be able to have the punch resistance and everything. Because if Canelo's hitting you with 3 or 4 shots, and that's draining all the energy out of you. Remember, you have to have that conditioning, and you have to be able to take punishment for 12 rounds. You have to be ready to take rigorous, not even 12 rounds, for 15 rounds. You got to train like if you're going for a 15-round fight. And you have to be able to take that punishment dealt out to you by a guy who has been fighting and has fought twice at 175. You have to train for a 175 pounder, not even a 168 pounder. You're training for a 175 pounder. You understand? So it's different. That's completely different, man. That's not easy, man. And then the guy's got a high IQ. The guy's got a high IQ. The guy does what he does very, very well. He has holes in his game, but not holes that can't be covered up by strength and power. You see what I'm saying? Brook didn't even fight 154. Big mistake. Yeah, he fought at a catch weight at 154 against Brian Sarafa, the guy that's facing Erislandy Lara at 160. It was a lackluster performance. That was after he had faced Triple G. When you jump up so many weight classes, it's a whole different dimension of strength and power you're dealing with. So skills go out the window if you don't have the strength and power to withstand the strength and power that's coming at you. Which is why you need to acclimatize to the weight class before you can take on, the serious competition there. So, if Terence does that, if he acclimatizes, absolutely, I favor Terence Crawford over Canelo. I think Terence Crawford is a way more skilled opponent, and I think he's a better boxer than Canelo. But I strongly favor Canelo in a fight where Terence Crawford would just jump up from 147 and say he's going to take on Canelo. I absolutely would favor Canelo in that fight. Absolutely. Notice Ward is still in good shape and happily talking about Canelo. He's staying ready in case of a call out. Now, he's never going to be called out by Canelo. He's yesterday's news, and also I think that Andrew was never going to fight again. He's done with that. He would do with probably an exhibition. He might do an exhibition with Canelo if you want. If Canelo want to do an exhibition with him, something like that. He'd do something like that, but nah. Canelo's still serious about his boxing career, even though he hasn't faced David Benavidez yet. I think Ward licks his chops every time he's asked about Canelo. I think that Canelo is I think Canelo is a tremendous fighter. He came in after Ward left the scene. I think a boxer earlier on, or a fan earlier on, was saying that Ward ducked Lucian Bute and what's his name? Lucian Bute and Adonis Stevenson. I asked him to present the evidence for it. He wasn't. He said that Ward, he wasn't undisputed at 168 and 175. That was his evidence. But I would say this. I would say that Andre Ward actually should have been undisputed at 168. He was stripped of a title. It was, as to Lucian Bute, I don't know the specifics of it, but I do believe that the time that people were talking about Ward facing Lucian Bute, I think Lucian Bute lost a particular fight or was given a fight. I think it was. I can't remember. I have to actually look at Lucian. I have to actually look at Lucian Bute's how the times overlap with that. Hold on a second. I'm gonna tell you. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, Lucien Bute lost to Badu Jack. He lost to Elita Alvarez. He lost to James DeGale. 2015. Hold on one second. I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna tell you what I think. Okay, I'm gonna tell you where they said that Andre Ward ducked Lucien Bute. So I believe it was November 16th, 2013. This is before Andre Ward. Oh, come on, camera. Come on, camera. Oh, the camera's giving me trouble a little bit. Let me see if I can get. Oh, there you go. Right. So if you look here, 2013, right? Oh, fuck you. In 2013, Andre Ward faced Edwin Rodriguez instead of, I believe, facing Lucien Bute. Let me see if I'm right. Lucien Bute, he got knocked out by Carl Froch in 2012. He came back and fought Denis Grajev or whoever at light heavyweight. So, no. So, no, he was up at light heavyweight at the time when Andre Ward was fighting Rodriguez. But I think somewhere in between there, they were saying Andre Ward should face Lucien Bute. He had got stopped by, he had gotten stopped by, if I'm not mistaken, he got stopped by Carl Froch. Carl Froch, yeah. In 2012, Lucien Bute got stopped by Carl Froch. But they were saying that Andre Ward was supposed to face Lucien Bute sometime there, I think, in between, and he fought Rodriguez instead, who was his top contender for the WBA. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Andre got stripped or something of some titles or some kind of thing like that. Stevenson versus Kovalev, the fight we never got to see. Yeah, I remember that. So they were saying that, Adonis Stevenson, when they asked out Andre Ward if he would face Adonis Stevenson, Andre Ward was like, "Nah, I'm going to face Sergey Kovalev." Kovalev at the time was with Tom Loeffler, I think it was Promotions. Is it Tom Loeffler? No, it was Kathy Duva, right? He was with Kathy Duva. And Kathy Duva was doing work with HBO. Adonis Stevenson was with Showtime. So Ward decided to face Kovalev. And HBO, I think, had made Ward have to go up and face Kovalev. So Ward ended up facing Kovalev. And after he faced Kovalev, he decided to retire because he said the real boogeyman was Kovalev, as Adonis didn't want to face Kovalev. But Adonis didn't. It's not that Adonis didn't want to face Kovalev. Adonis wanted to face Kovalev, but they just couldn't make the deal happen because Adonis was with Showtime. I think Adonis signed with Showtime or something like that instead of HBO. And so they said, it looked like Adonis was ducking Kovalev. Adonis wanted to make the fight with Kovalev, but I think they had a purse bid or something, and then Kovalev's team, Kathy Duva, and they left the purse bid and they didn't honor it. And so it was all that going on. So Kovalev ended up facing Andre Ward, and Andre Ward smashed Kovalev. Right. So I don't think that Andre Ward ducked Stevenson. I just don't think so. Yeah, there you go. So you knew about it. Froch beat Bute, and then Bute, Ward had to choose between Bute, who was coming off a loss, I think, and Rodriguez, who was I think the number one contender towards championship, and he went on to fight Rodriguez. Got slipped. I think he got stripped of the IBF title, and he went on to face Rodriguez and beat Rodriguez. I think that was his last fight at one. I think that was his last fight at 168. Let me see. I think that was his last fight at 168. Yep. Because then Ward got into a court dispute with then his promoter, who was what was his promoter's name? Y'all remember who the promoter name was of Andre Ward? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Ward filed a lawsuit in 2013. Never understood why Butte didn't enter the Super Six. So Ward filed a lawsuit against what's it? I forget what his name is. Dan something. Dan. Oh my goodness, I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. His brother Goossen, Dan Goossen. There you go, Joe Goossen and Dan Goossen. So Dan Goossen, who was Joe Goossen's brother. There you go. Dan Goossen, who was Joe Goossen's brother, he died, and that's how Ward got out of the contract, and he was able to fight again. Yeah, because again, Ward for 2 years, I think. Same thing with Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia ended up in a contractual dispute with Top Rank over the Gamboa thing, and he got out of it, and then he was his own boss and stuff like that. So yeah, with Andre Ward, he kind of lost 2 years of his career because of this lawsuit between Goossen and himself. So when people say that Ward ducked Adonis Stevenson and Lucian Butte, I disagree. I also don't think he ducked Triple G. So that's how I think about that. Yeah. Well, we have gone on for 2 hours and 16 minutes and 45 seconds. And last thing Andre Ward said was he favored Canelo over Crawford over Canelo. Not right now for me. I would favor Crawford over Canelo if they fight, and Crawford as acclimatized to 168. Sure, no problem. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? Boxing needs a union. Well, Teddy Atlas has been petitioning to Congress, and so if you guys would sign his petition, you can find it on his channel. You can actually help to booster some sort of organization that oversees boxing. And Teddy Atlas has been pushing passionately for this. So the more signatures that can be gotten, the better. So if you guys really want to do something, go to Teddy Atlas's channel and sign the petition. It's on the channel there. You can go to the link and you'll get to the petition. I've already signed the petition, and I suggest you guys do the same so that boxing can be regulated and there's an overseeing body to ensure that no fighter equals no fight. No promoter fight can still happen. Example, self-promoters like Haney. Yep, I agree with you again. No fans, no money. Nobody viewing the fights, no money. You know what I mean? So it's really dependent on us. And for boxing to survive, but I'm just trying to educate the fans on capping and that kind of stuff so that you guys don't get yourselves, involved in that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm what you need. You've been watching my channel. I need to get out of here because I have to go sell in the afternoon. I have so many different things I still have to do. But I thought I would spend some time with you guys. But guys, make it worth my while this way. If you would, please, those of you who can, donate via PayPal. It doesn't matter. The small amount, big amount, large amount, small amount. Don't forget to donate via PayPal. Those of you who see this, pass it on to other people. Support this channel. Support what we do with boxing. And you can donate via PayPal. Again, I invite you guys to come on this stream. I am not a guy that bites. I'm not a guy that tries to put people down. I do ask you for your sources. I do ask you for your information. And all you have to do, if you have a phone in your hand or you have something in your hand, you can always just Google it in front of me and show me on the screen like that. So like you can Google it right here on your phone, right? Take your phone, Google it, and just turn it to the screen and show, hey, this is the evidence I have for X, Y, and Z. And we could just keep on discussing it. You know, I'm not trying to put people down. I want you to have a discussion as fans. Um, buy what you need. Yes, sir. Buy Christopher Smith. Always a pleasure to have you on here. I wish I could get you in person to see you. You know, legal disputes with a promoter holding up the short career of a boxer is scandalous. I agree 100%. Again, boxing is all about the boxer. So you would think the promoter would be trying to get the boxer's best interest and to portray the boxer in the best light and to promote fights that the boxer does. But that's not what promoters do. They try to lord their power over boxers and stuff like that, which I think is just so stupid. But it is what it is, my friend. Yeah, so if you guys want to have reports and stuff, but bring your evidence. Always bring your evidence on whatever it is that you're making a point on. That way it validates it. It gives it truth. You know what I mean? So we always bring up truth. Like I try to bring up truth. I Google things right in front of everybody because I'm using right now a laptop. And of course, this is a business for me. So I'm not just streaming because I like to stream. I'm streaming because I'm trying to make money at the same time as I'm streaming. So I hope that you guys enjoy this. I hope you enjoy the ambience, the environment that I also give for you guys. I try to make it so that it's a house, it's a home. It's a respectable establishment that we're trying to do, a respectable business that we're trying to do. Yes, sometimes I use foul language on here, and you guys will have to excuse me. It's part of the boxing thing. But at the end of the day, we're really trying to do a professional service, and we're really trying to get you as boxing fans to just get wiser and wiser about the sport, whether you're casual fans, whether you're fans that are deeply entrenched and hardcore fans, whether you are fans who have your preferences about your different types of fighters. We just want to make sure that you have the education necessary when you're looking at fights or when you're looking at boxing. And also, we want to be able to learn something. I've learned something in the last stream with the coach out there. Shout out to RJ Jenkins, the coach that actually, he knows a lot about boxing. He has his personal preferences and his opinions on different things. But at the end of the day, we have to respect coaches out there who are being, training and educating youngsters and also other fellow boxers in the sport of boxing. And I know he has a lot more information he could share with us at another time. So I look forward to seeing him as well. Even though I may disagree with him about maybe certain matchups or whatever, it doesn't mean necessarily that there's not knowledge and great information that can come from the coaches out there. So shout out to Coach Jenkins for being on the program yesterday. I hope to see him return. I know he was tired, he was sleepy, and he still gave out of his time to talk. So that was really great. Also, if any of you guys want to come on here, I'm trying to get judges. So if you guys can source a judge, a scoring judge, so that we can come in and have a nice little interview with that judge, pick his brains a little bit, even dispute certain things with him, argue with him a little bit, but just have it back and forth. If you other guys want to come in on here, I have room for about 10 people on here. The only thing is we need to keep it respectable. I know I was kind of talking over the coach yesterday, but we were trying not to talk over each other so you guys could actually hear the different perspectives and views on different people, because it's important. If everybody's talking at once, you can't hear anything, right? So hopefully, we can take turns talking and still have a natural, organic conversation. It's all about conversations on here. We try to keep it as professional as possible, but yet semi-professional at the same time, so that everybody feel comfortable saying their views, expressing their views, not having shouted matches over each other, which I'm kind of guilty of doing yesterday. So we want to enjoy the rest of the day. You guys are going to probably be watching the fight tonight. I definitely going to be watching the fight tonight. So at the end of the fight, hopefully I'll be able to put up a video right after the fight, or maybe, I'm not saying I will, but maybe I may actually post a commentary as the fight is going on. I said maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see. So for those of you out there who enjoy my content, don't forget you can always support me on this channel. I have another channel that deals with movies and stuff like that. It's called Christ I Am Disciple, because I'm a Christian. So therefore, if you want to check out that one, you can check out that one. I haven't really put up much of anything. I'm mostly talking about Free Palestine. That's my perspective, because I think it's unfair what Israel is doing and has been doing for the last 75 years. So I'm in the campaign for that. I'm also in the campaign for restoring the Snyderverse, which is something that I'm very passionate about, as well as I'm also interested in the entertainment on Netflix, certain Netflix programs that I think are very interesting. So if you guys are interested in that channel, you can also check out that channel, even though I haven't posted up anything as regularly as this channel on that one. Any other questions you guys have before I get out of here, or anything you want to mention? Any topics? Because we really burned it again. I did like a 4-hour stream yesterday, and today is like a 2-hour 25-minute stream. So if you guys can get anything else from me today, if not, I'm gonna wrap it up. Tell you guys have a peaceful, blessed Easter. For those of you who celebrate Easter, for those of you who celebrate today, if you're in my country, which is Trinidad and Tobago, they also celebrate Shadow Baptist Day, which is also known as Spiritual Baptist Day. That's also happening today. And for those of you going out to have activities, whether it's play sports, football, attend a meeting, have party, whatever, I hope you guys have a safe trip out and a safe trip back in. I'm what you need. Peace.